The first Bering expedition. In 1724, Tsar Peter was dying. His passion for the sea was the cause of his fatal illness, which was brought about by attempting to salvage a grounded boat in icy water. Peter, aware of his approaching death, gave the orders that would send the first large expedition overland to build ships in the northeast and to seek out the northern strait. Appointed to the command was Vitus Bering, a Dane but a captain in the Russian Navy. In his earlier career, he had served with the Dutch East India Company in the East. Second in command was Morten Spanberg, a fellow Dane and a good sea officer, but surly, cruel, and only semi-illiterate. Third in order of command was Lieutenant Alexei Ivanovich Chirikov, a Russian-born naval instructor who has gone down in history as the leading light of the expedition. In 1714, Triasca's party had assembled their men and materials east of the Urals. Bering's larger expedition was to start from far in the west, in European Russia. In January 1725, Chirikov and 24 men set out in advance with 25 large wagons of provisions and equipment. Bering followed a little later with a similar caravan. The journey by land and river was an epic in itself. Swamps and streams hindered their progress. Rapids had to be portaged and obstructive officials dealt with. As they progressed, their numbers were increased as men and horses joined the march. The men, wagons, and 600 horses spread over a lot of territory, creating problems with provisioning. After Yakutsk, Bering split the expedition into three groups. He reached Okhotsk in October 1726, but Spanberg and Chirikov ran into trouble. Failing to reach Okhotsk before the onset of winter, they had their boats frozen in the ice of the Gorbea River, forcing them to march, hauling makeshift sledges throughout the winter. Provisions ran out, and the starving men ate the horses and finally the leather harnesses. The remnants of Spanberg's group reached Okhotsk in April 1727. Many men had died, and all the equipment and material dragged with such effort and hardship across the entire breadth of Russia was lost. The expedition had taken 28 months to assemble on the banks of the Okhotsk. A decked ship had already been started by the time Bering arrived, but it was a long way from being finished. Named the Fortuna, she was to transport the expedition to Kamchatka, where a second vessel was to be built. After a winter of frustration and discontent, the Fortuna was launched on 8th of June 1727 and made two voyages to Bolsheretsk on the west coast of Kamchatka. From there, Bering employed the local Kamchadals to haul everything across the peninsula to Nizhny-Kamchatsk on the east coast. Here a cold, miserable winter was spent while work on the new ship progressed. By July 1728, the 60-foot, that's 18 meters, vessel named the Святой Gabriel, Saint Gabriel, was complete. The Fortuna, with the pilot Moshov on board, arrived on 6th of June and the expedition put to sea on 14th of July. They stood northeast up the coast. On the 29th of July, they crossed the mouth of the river Anadyr and continued rock hopping along the shore. No doubt the small size of their ship was an advantage, allowing them the additional maneuverability of sweeps to keep them out of trouble. Svятoi Lavrenti Island, the St. Lawrence Island, was discovered and named. The indigenous people, the Chukchi, were questioned as to land in the east, but their replies were of little help. They rounded Cape Chukotsky until they reached 65 degrees and 30 minutes north with no land in sight. Bering concluded that they had passed the eastern tip of Asia, and with the prospect of winter not far off, consulted Spanberg and Chirikov. Spanberg proposed venturing northwards for 3 more days, while Chirikov was for proving the strait by making for the mouth of the uh, Kolmia River in northern Siberia. Probably that's Kolyma River. Spanberg's suggestion won the day. On the 16th of August, in latitude 67 degrees and 18 minutes north, 45 miles inside the Arctic Circle, they turned back, passing close to, but not sighting, the fog-enshrouded Alaskan shore. After wintering back at Nizhny-Kamchatsk, Bering set out again the following June, sailing out to sea for 115 miles and turning back to chart the southern Kamchatkan coast. That completed, he sailed on the Bolshaya and Okhotsk, from where he returned to St. Petersburg, arriving there on the 30th of March 1730. He had been away 5 years, during which less than 4 months had been spent at sea. Although not absolutely proved, Bering was given the credit for finding the strait which now bears his name. That's the end. Thank you for listening.